Okay, so now we come to the point in the whole shebang, right? Where we're thinking, okay, this is the editing phase, right? What can we do to make this a little better? Now, I'm noticing on camera this looks really good. In person, I don't know. I'm just the depth, I guess, with the sunlight and everything in here, the depth of dark on this is just way too much, and it's making the trees. I don't know. It's just that the tree branches, I'm not seeing enough stuff on them. I'm seeing stuff around them. It's like they're too dark, right? So that was my mistake. I went in and I was a little too heavy-handed with the black, right? A more gray tone stroke would have been better. So let me show you a way to negate that. We're gonna give this a shot. We're gonna try a couple things to try and fix this. Okay, I'm gonna use a paper towel, and I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna kind of blot it here and there. Okay, on areas. I'm folding it up like this, and I'm gonna use my finger to blot in some areas. This is, and if you'll notice, I've got some up, right? The blotting just helps to absorb any excess. So if there was too much pigment down there, but if you'll notice, I might even have to add extra water to get more of that pigment up. I am not going to do that. Instead, I think that that's fixed that area. I do think that that's fixed that area because it's given it a more, instead of just like solid black or whatever, it's a little better. Some of my, I got too impatient and I picked my painting up to look at it and noticed some of the red pigment from up here is dribbled down here. Again, I'm just going to blot, okay? I'm going to use this paper towel, go through, boop, pick that up. It took some of the green with it. However, it looks a lot nicer, right? So from an angle, if you can see this black pigment shine, that's a cool thing. But I think for this work, it's going to be maybe a no-go, right? So anywhere that this black pigment is just kind of thick, I'm going to go through and I'm going to try and blot some of it up because it's just making the trunks have way more weight than the leaves. Um, yeah. Okay, what do you guys think now? That feels a little better to me. I feel like this cherry blossom on the right needs some more stuff on top of it. If you'll notice, I mostly did strokes around the branches instead of on the branches. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to try and do some more stroke work on the branches. And this looks a little moist over here still. I am actually going to go through and I'm going to blot some of that. And we'll see what patternings that does. Notice I'm using a relatively clean part of the paper to do that. Oh, look at that. Once you wet that, it kind of, or once you dry that, it kind of gives it some legitimacy. I see another little wet spot. I'm going to go through and do that. I'm not saying to always do this, but if you're wondering and you're trying to make errors, blotting is a good thing that you can do. All right, so let's look. I'm going to look at it in the light, which is going to be different than on the camera. Yeah, I really kind of like how this has come out. The only thing I'm really having a complaint about is we need another layer on the top. So let's see what we can do for that. I'm going to try to do that right now as we're talking. So notice we got a yellowish leaf pattern on the left. I'm just going to do a tiny bit of water, get most of the water out of my brush until it's just moist, and then pick up some yellow, okay? This will give us a really strong yellow pattern. And what I'm going to do is not from the main trunk, but just on the leaves. I'm going to go over all the way up, right? Same thing here. And it's okay if it's a little thick. That's sort of the point of this, right? We're putting a foliage pattern on the actual branches themselves, right? And, you know, at the same time, this kind of almost has a lichen-y pattern to it. I feel like. Not lichen, but, you know, it has a very natural color pattern. Is this just a hot mess? Did I mess this up? Let's see. Yes and no. Let's go through and let's blot that and make some of that. Let's just dry some of that. Maybe I overdid it. Blot, 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 blot. Alright, let's take a look. Oh, cool. Some of it's still a little slick just because it's not dried yet. But honestly, I'm liking it. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing to the other ones. Just paint another thicker layer over top and make some bloom on the branches, right? And then we'll see on the flip side and I'll show you how it turns out.